Gary Salo, Golden Motor Canada. Today I've taken my wheels off and I'm going to switch the controllers from one wheel to another just to show how easy it is. You hear that snap? The Allen screws are in quite tight, so it takes a bit to get them off. Once you get the controller out, you can loosen the screws with a Phillips screwdriver. It's quite easy. You get the 3 wires unscrewed and then unplug the black plug and the controller is out. Now I'm going to move on to the other wheel and I'm going to show you how to do this on videotape. So here's the other wheel now. So the first step again is to undo the black cover plate, which is the fan that cools the controller. You just undo the 6 Allen screws. You can hear them snapping as they come loose. I'm going to speed this up here a bit to save time. Once the 6 Allen screws are out, I'm tapping the cover plate with a rubber mallet just to loosen things up a bit. And then tapping a screwdriver in on the side, in between the cover plate and the motor, just to get it to lift off. There we go, it's loose now. So now I'm undoing the nut and the 2 washers and removing the plate. The square black piece you see hanging there that I'm feeding through is the pedelec plug, which I'm not using, so I just have it taped up. Next step is to loosen the 6 Phillips screws that hold the controller in. You have to make sure you have the exact screwdriver for this because they're very small and you want to make sure that you don't strip any of them. They come out quite easily. Now I'm removing the wire clip that holds the wire on. It's just a half round piece of wire that attaches to the axle on each side in little holes, holds the wire in place. I actually found this to be the most difficult part of the whole process, but it's still come off quite easily. Now the controller is still stuck in there even though it's unscrewed. They use some sort of I'm not sure what it is, some sort of material that I guess sticks it on there or keeps it watertight. So I'm attempting to loosen it up here by tapping on it. Still can't get the screwdriver in there, so I'm going to tap the screwdriver into the crack just a little bit, enough to lift the plate up. You don't want it to go in too far and damage the controller itself. Now you can see the plate is starting to come up. This is the actual controller itself. Lifting it out, you can see how it looks. There's 3 wires attached to the controller and a plug. So the first step here is I unplug the plug. Then I'm going to lean it over and unscrew the 3 wires with a small Phillips screwdriver. Fairly simple process, but again you want to make sure you have the proper size screwdriver so you don't strip any of the heads of the screws. Once the 3 wires are loose and it's unplugged, it's out. It's as simple as that. Now I'm reaching for the other controller from the other wheel. This is the controller I just took out. This is the controller from the other wheel. First thing to do, of course, is to attach the 3 wires. When you're taking it apart, I would take a picture of it so you make sure you get the 3 wires right. But basically there's the plug, and then the yellow wire, then the green wire, then the blue. Once you have the 3 wires screwed in nicely and it plugged in again, you just push it back into the housing. Here it's riding on the axle a little bit. I gotta wiggle it to get it to slide down the axle. It's a very tight fit to keep the water out, I assume. Okay, it's sliding down now. Now it's just a matter of putting everything back together. So once again, I'm putting in the 6 Phillips screws, and I'm going to screw them all in a little bit at a time so that the controller slides into the hole nice and straight. You don't want to just tighten one screw and then put in another one. You want to tighten all the screws a little bit at a time until it's nice and snugly in. Once that's done, I put the clip back on the wire to hold it in place. Slide the cover plate back on. Put the 6 Allen keys in. These I noticed were quite tight when I took it apart, so I made sure I snugged them up pretty good putting them in. Put the 2 washers on in the nut. And that's it. Controller swap is done. Now I'm going to do the other wheel. So I've completed the switch. I switched the front and rear controllers from one wheel to another. It's actually easier than I thought. The only difference now is this is the rear wheel, obviously, and the rear wheel usually has a short battery cable, and now it has a long one. And the front wheel normally has a long battery cable, and it has a short one. But that's okay. I'm just going to cut part of this long one off to the appropriate length, so it'll reach the batteries on the back of the bike, and I'm going to put it onto the front here, attach it on. I actually was intending on doing that anyway, because I would like to put a plug right about here for plugging in the battery. So if you did have to change the tire or something like that, take the wheel off, you can unplug it right here instead of having to feed the wire all the way back to the battery. And that's about it. So now I'm going to go put them back on the bike, see how I did. Hopefully they both still work. And there we go. Both wheels are now turning again. Everything was successful. I'm just doing it lightly because I haven't even bolted the wheels on yet, but I have them sitting in place. And looks like swapping the controllers was 100% successful.